6:23, so I will call this council in committee meeting for April 9th, 2024 to order. I'll ask the clerk to please once again record the attendance, and I'll ask for a motion to approve the agenda, please. Deputy Mayor Quinn, seconded by Councillor Arsenault. On the question, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Are there any conflicts of interest this evening? Seeing none, we'll move down into the agenda. The first item this evening is a delegation. We have Mr. Guy Richard is here to speak on the subject of the Miram multiplex project. Mr. Richard, welcome to Council Chambers. Feel free to come up to the podium here, and we'll turn things over to you for your presentation. Oh, yeah.
Good. All right. First of all, I wanted to personally recognize the mayor, council, the economic development and tourism team for the involvement in promoting Miramichi as a great destination to view yesterday's eclipse. It was an unbelievable event, and I'm sure that our local businesses felt the impact of it, so thank you. Secondly, we'd like to thank you for taking the time to see us here today. As a group of business owners, we want to make it clear that we're very excited about this multiplex project. It's something that we all want. When we formed this group, we had two main goals. Our first goal was to understand exactly what was being proposed as building plans for this project, so we could properly understand how the facility would benefit our current user group here in Miramichi. And as business owners, we also want to keep focus on an economic development opportunities that came up as we moved through this process. So what we've done is we reach out to people in the user group to see what they saw as benefits and challenges of the current set of plans for the new multiplex. We visited some recreational facilities in other cities, talked to people working there, and we really wanted to know what they had done right and what they would change about their existing facilities if they could. Finally, we reached out to several business owners and potential investors to see what they thought about the economic opportunities that come with this new multiplex and the future development of the site. Our findings, we clearly broke down that there's three main areas of focus when it comes to this project. The ice surfaces, we're going with one surface versus adding a secondary ice pad. The seating capacity in the main arena, and the pools. The discussion of a 6-lane pool and leisure pool with potential splash pad. I say potential because in the plans that were available to us on the city website, it showed somewhat of a splash pad next to the leisure pool, but recently that link or the access to the plans that I'm referring to has been removed. When it comes to the ice surfaces, regardless of which user group we spoke to, plans to build a new arena that did not include a second ice pad was viewed as a big lost opportunity. Adding a second sheet of ice as part of the original plan was of utmost importance, especially considering that the plans for the new facility were merely replacing the LBA arena, which is to be torn down, if I could understand correctly. The need for a second ice pad comes from rapidly changing demographics. One of our user groups, the Miramichi Panthers, has grown exponentially over the past 3 years. This is but one example to show that the study done in 2018 by the city and that served as a guide to how to build this complex is no longer relevant when it comes to certain user groups. We pulled some numbers directly from Hockey Canada as recent as last week. The current program for the female hockey have teams in U7, U9, U11, U13, and U15 categories. In 2021, we had 50 players in four teams. 2022, this number jumped to 72 players in 5 teams. And in 2023, 102 girls enrolled. We added 2 more teams for a total of 7 teams. To put things in perspective, the program has been growing at a rate of 40% year over year, and it has doubled in size in the last 3 years, since 2021. We really have become the benchmark for female hockey here in New Brunswick. A second sheet of ice would provide equal opportunities for ice time in the city for the girls. In previous years, the program was based at a Sunny Corner area, and last year the city granted us some ice time at the LBA here and at the Miramichi Civic Center, and we were grateful for that because it did help us a lot with the girls that are traveling from the outlining areas, so thank you for that. But as our program grows, so does the need for equal ice time in the city. It would also provide us the opportunities to host larger tournaments. This will help us to continue to develop the brand, the Panthers brand, and will help us start to showcase Miramichi as a hub for female hockey in Atlantic Canada. If you talk to anyone involved in hockey, they will tell you that we are tired of traveling to other areas, spending our hard-earned monies in other cities. We want to stay home, even just once in a while, and start building something here for us. I want to make a special mention that Ricky Stewart, a well-known figure in sports here in Miramichi, recently put in a bid to bring a U15 AAA major hockey team, boys team, back to Miramichi. And we want to wish Ricky and his team all the best in their efforts to do so. The business community also strongly supports the idea of a second ice pad here in Phase 1. Adding a second sheet of ice is the easiest, most logical way to turn this complex into an economic engine. This is needed to attract potential investors to the site, as the current plans are merely a replacement facility for our current users and do little to promote growth. With the approval of a second ice pad, the goal would be to immediately implement a plan to host as many tournaments as possible during the hockey season. And that includes a rapidly growing spring hockey, both male and female, across New Brunswick right now. Our model would be the Credit Union Place in Summerside, which hosts a tournament every single weekend from early November to late March. And the hospitality industry, as a result of it, is booming. I've been there twice this year, and I can attest. Things are going so well in Summerside that they're currently planning the addition of a third ice surface to host larger tournaments. When it comes to the main arena, we discussed the maximum potential for this new arena, and there's so many events that came up. There was concerts, wrestling events, monster truck competitions, circuses, ceremonies, international hockey tournaments, and even the future home of potentially a Quebec Maritime Major Junior Hockey team. Now, with the success of our two local teams here, and right now the Miramichi Timberwolves, who are doing well in the playoff race, and the Miramichi Northmen, who had a great attendance and a great season, it's clear that hockey is well and alive here in Miramichi. And while maybe a major junior franchise is in the cards for us right now, it doesn't mean we shouldn't start planning for it. The opportunity to showcase Miramichi by hosting international events would only be good for our community, and in order to be considered for the majority of these events, our facility would need a minimum of 2,500 seats. The word on the street is that in Moncton, they're preparing to put a bid in for upcoming World Juniors, and anybody that saw the last one see how successful it was. And it'd be really great if Miramichi could be considered as an alternate site the next time around. I think that yesterday proved to us what proper planning can do when it comes to pulling off successful one-time events. And this should certainly be kept in mind when investing into a recreation facility of this size. When it comes to the pool and leisure pool, the biggest concern among active groups is the facility was a 6-lane facility, and when a minimum of 8 lanes are required to properly host a swim competition. From an economic standpoint, the addition of the 2 lanes as an upgrade for us was a small ask, especially considering it's essentially the difference of being able to generate income for the club and traffic for local businesses or not. The general consensus here is that if we're going to spend $40 million on pools, we should be looking for ways to generate enough economic activity, be it tourism dollars or hosting swim competitions, to at least partially pay for them. Finding ways to generate economic growth is key, so we can continue to maximize the true potential of this site. And building the right complex goes a long way when it comes to attracting permanent residents to our community. This is all an essential part of any city's strategy to increase the tax base and make the cost of living more affordable for individual families. Okay, I'm almost done. I want to take a few minutes here to welcome one of our business owners to speak. Mark Donnelly is the owner of Swiss Chalet and Harvey's here in Miramichi. He wanted to come up and say a few words.
Thank you, Guy. Mayor, Council, thank you. I'm not the best public speaker, so bear with me, and you see my notes. I'm from Miramichi, obviously, live in Douglastown with my wife and 3 boys, and a very proud Miramichier. Grew up in Napan, well, Center Napan. Make my late uncle happy to hear that, Center Napan. When I decided to open the restaurant 6.5 years ago, it's because of my passion for Miramichi. And also as an accountant, I do like the idea of generating income. So when I started getting ready for tonight's meeting, basically yesterday threw all my notes in the garbage. And I want to publicly thank the council for yesterday with making Miramichi a destination. My dining room, both at dinner, at noon, and at supper time, were packed. We destroyed our Monday sales record because we were a destination. And I'm so proud of my staff for being able to handle it. A few years ago, it would have been a train wreck. We also destroyed our 5 o'clock hour revenue by over 3 times of what I would be happy to have. I couldn't believe the numbers. I actually had a phone call from our business development manager on the Harvey side and said, "What happened yesterday? Is your cash register working?" I gladly said yes and kind of joked with him saying, "I don't know what rock you're under, or maybe you were behind the moon, but we had an eclipse here yesterday." And I explained how we made Miramichi a destination. And again, something everybody in this room should be very proud of. By making Miramichi a destination, there will be tons of economic growth and development. And I am one of those people that will do it. When I first opened the restaurant, I realized my restaurant had some what I would consider flaws in the model. I think the expectation where a lot of people were looking for a traditional Swiss chalet where you would come in and sit down, greeted by a host, sit down. My setup's a little different, and that's because of our population numbers. Our experts at corporate said this was the model that we need in Miramichi. They said we were on the cusp of this model or a traditional size restaurant. Now with our population growth over the last couple of years, I believe we're there. I actually have plans sitting on my desk at home where I would renovate my current location into a traditional Swiss chalet, but I've got to find a spot for my Harveys because I have a pile of equipment that has to be utilized. If we can make this multiplex an economic driver and a destination for Miramichi, I'll be one of the first to build back there. And I know growth will come after that, without a doubt. But we have to have the traffic. With the traffic, you need to create that destination, which is exactly what you folks did yesterday. That's pretty much all I have to say. By all means, I'm open to any questions, officially or off the record at any time. Again, proud Miramichier. Had opportunities to leave here and work all over the world, but Miramichi's home, and which is why we're all sitting around our tables here. So anyways, thank you for your time.
So thanks, Mark. In wrapping this up, and I have a hard time reading from a script, but I figured that with the amount of time that I had this evening, it was probably the best choice for everyone. This complex is going to be our main facility for the next 50, 60 years or more. And as much as we're all excited about getting the facility up and running as quickly as possible, I think the most important thing is that we get it right. My ask is that when you go home tonight and think about all the hard work that you put into making the city a better place, as individuals and as council, I want you to think about this particular project and the site that it's going to be sitting on, what it's going to look like in the next 5, 10, say 20 years. And I want you to visualize that about what it's going to look like. And I want you to ask yourself the question, am I truly satisfied with what that vision is going to look like? Or do I feel a smidgen of doubt, or maybe even an ounce of regret in terms of what it could have been? With that in mind, we're asking for someone to put a motion on the table to open up this conversation to a new vote in hopes that we can move forward with these much needed changes. Thank you very much for your time today. And like Mark said, we're welcome to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Richard. And Mr. Donnelly and everybody, if there are, as you mentioned in your presentation, if there are questions, of course, people can, I won't stop anybody from asking them now, but they can follow up with you as well moving forward.